Hello, beautiful souls. Today's transmission is in regards to levels of truth. And the awareness that dropped in earlier, wanting to be expressed, is the importance of being aware which level of truth you're resonating at and why this is occurring. So those of you who are on the Kundalini awakening journey, you may know that when you have the root to crown explosion, it is in fact the beginning, not the end of the Kundalini awakening experience. Now, as she awakens throughout these energy centers, also known as chakras, she will provide you with various information through your own knowing. Now, when you're receiving this information, it will be from the center that is currently being worked on or traveled through at the time. Now, the reason why this is wanting to be expressed is because in my own experience, I was very confused with which level of truth I was supposed to be resonating at. Meaning, the grandest expanded level of truth coming from above the crown chakra is ultimately that this is all an illusion, right? That there's nothing actually here, that we don't exist, that there is no one doing anything anywhere, right? Now, you may have heard this spoken about in non-duality. And the reason why it's so important to understand that on the Kundalini awakening journey that we are traveling through clearing of chakras and traveling through layers of truth is because there is no layer or level of truth that is to go without another, because they are all existing simultaneously at the same time. Now, why this is really, really important to understand and accept is because you begin to realize that truth is in fact false. And that is the paradox, just like the beautiful cosmic giggle that happens all the time, because reality in itself is a paradox. Ultimately, at the core of everything is a paradox. Because there's no beginning, there's no end, and there isn't anything to even have a beginning or end. And we could just keep going with this, right? If you haven't heard of a strange loop before, I heard it, reality spoken about as a strange loop once, and I completely agree, because it's like an image that has no beginning, no end, and you don't actually know where it starts or what it is. And I would say that's a pretty good description of what reality is. Now, back to the levels of truth and why it matters. Is because when we are at this expanded level of awareness where we ultimately hold the vision of that there's nothing anywhere doing anything, i.e. non-duality teaching, this can be grasped as a concept by the ego when it's either grasped it from external as a thought form, as a belief system, or when it was actually being traveled through within the expansion of the chakra system, it's been held on as a level of truth that's chosen to stay. Now, this also, by choosing something, is an egoic act. The only way we can reside in that knowing is by simultaneously knowing all exists at the same time and that all is true at the same time. Now, when we are then perhaps traveling through, say, gaining our inner authority, for example, now this is usually traveling through the solar plexus. So as Kundalini makes her way through clearing the solar plexus and remembering that this isn't done in a linear fashion, she doesn't go from root to crown when she's doing this. It works vibrationally on awareness. So as you're unpeeling layers, you can imagine that your core vibration is starting to be heard more and more clearly, which means you're picking up frequencies of information that you weren't previously aware of. Now, this is how this works through these energy centers. So as she's clearing distortions within your body, you are starting to become aware of different levels of truth, of different modes of awareness, of different information that you previously weren't aware of because you weren't on the frequency to understand the concept of it. So the reason why this is so important is because when we find a specific or come across a specific chakra that we're healing, say for instance one that feels quite blissful, let's go the heart chakra, right? When this is opening, we often travel through, wanting the feeling we want to live in community, and we want to share everything, and we just want to be one with the land and all of these things. This is great. I'm not bagging any of this out whatsoever. However, it is just residing at the heart chakra, and there is more. So when we're moving up to the throat, everything changes. When we move to the third eye, everything changes. When we move to the crown, everything changes again. And even in saying that I said them in order, this isn't necessarily so. Depending on parallel lifetimes, because everything is existing right now, you could ultimately be in this incarnation or this point of awareness in seeming time at the awareness level of the heart chakra already. So, you know how some people are just naturally more geared to be this way. We can use upbringing, we can say conditioning, we can say whatever we want. Ultimately, that means, well, the way it's shown to me in my experience, is your cord, and for some reason it's going sideways as opposed to up and down. So your core vibration through all parallel time and space is resonating at that chakra level, at that frequency level. So that is why you are more geared like that. Therefore, the experiences that happen to you are more aligned with that. That is how you are outwardly, that is how you are inwardly, right? So this is, I guess you could say it's like karma. So if you're at a certain frequency, accessing a certain frequency due to the level of your core vibration across all parallel time and space, that's actually the experiences that will penetrate because you're at that level, right? And it doesn't mean that you can't, experience lower experiences or events. That can definitely happen. However, when it's kind of set you as a personality, it's gonna be able to change only if you change with it, only if you choose it. So what this means in the ways of levels of truth is it's important to understand that when we're speaking about something, that ultimately there can be and is many truths existing at the same time. So just breathe. Now, the benefit of this is that we know that what we're going through when we're going through it is a process. It is Kundalini making her way through the specific chakra and the specific distortion that's in your field. And this is why you may feel like you come across conflicting truths. How can it be that everything is made up and everything's a story? And our ancestors actually exist? How can things like crystals just be actual spiritual materialism and mean nothing, yet also be able to be felt by the person? Now, this is because every level of truth is existing at the same time. And it doesn't mean that one's true and one's false. It means that they're all happening. And so for those of you who are on the Kundalini awakening journey, you're more than likely going to have to understand and grasp that even though we have been taught our entire upbringing that there is a way, a truth, a concept, even if it was a book or a religion or a whatever, there actually isn't. There is a whole heap of conflicting, counteracting truths that all exist as true at the same time, yet when they are held against each other, they are false. Let me know what you think, if I've still gotcha, and how it landed. Hope this helps.